Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making a video going over the present rune and how it could be reworked and some ideas of how to make it an actual viable rune in the game. Currently, if y'all have been watching my videos the last month or so, you know about this rune. It is such a meme. It is terrible in every regard. It is the only godly rune in the game and it is trash. Its menacing shout becomes this present attack, which is hilarious because in lobbies you can use this to push other players around, so I make the joke all the time that you could do a lobby PvP. The only use for this present rune is literal lobby PvP, where you just bully each other into corners of the lobby, and it's really funny. And then its other ability, the Calamity, gets switched to drop for presents that drop bonus attack percents, bonus critical percents, and heal you. Let's talk about how this rune could be actually good, because obviously, as you probably know if you've been playing this game the last month, it is terrible. Now, I wanted to make this video going over a couple of ideas to how to rework this rune so it could be actually effective, and I actually also want you guys to comment down below your own ideas on what they could do to this rune so it is actually beneficial and actually worth using in the current meta. So step one to fixing this rune, it needs to be either a damage DPS based rune or a support based rune. It is this weird in between that does a little bit of both, but it does both bad. We either need to do one really good or just don't exist, because the problem with it being somewhat good at attack and somewhat good at support is that we don't need that. We have a bunch of runes in the game that are really good at DPS and a bunch of runes in the game that are really good at support. So why would we ever go for one that's somewhat good at both when we have ones that are really good at one or the other that we use in team play? Now, right off the bat, I think this rune should be reworked to be fully a supportive rune due to the fact that it's the only rune in the game to change Calamity. And since it changes Calamity, you could actually use this in team play since you have your Silencer protectors and party rune players giving you normal Calamity. We can make it work somehow to where this present drop Calamity actually becomes useful. For one, make it to where only the present rune player has to pick them up, and if it picks up the presents, all of the stat buffs that the present rune player gets from picking up the presents are given to all your allies. This would be great. Also, right out the bat, the damage and crit bonus it gives needs to be increased. I think it is literally 8% more damage. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm pretty sure it's 8% more damage for 5 seconds. If I'm not wrong about that, it needs to be increased to like, I don't know, 50% more damage or more. If you think about it, it is literally a worse version of Calamity. Calamity Shout by default gives you 80% more damage for 10 seconds, while this gives you 8% damage for 5 seconds. I mean, like, why would you ever use that? I do get it because it heals and does crit, but it should do all of these three things effectively. Now, it does affect the menacing shout ability, and it makes it really funny for bouncing players around the lobby. I think that should be changed. I know it's super funny and I personally love using it, but what if they reworked it to where somehow the menacing shout does something actually good for your team? Let's say one, it still bounces your team around because y'all, we can't lose that gem, that absolute gem of an ability. Let's say it still does that, right? But instead of actually doing more damage, it applies some form of effect to your teammates. What about something like a 10% chance to dodge? This could be stacked with the party rune's dodge ability and therefore give your teammates in a raid a 40% chance to dodge. Now, this would be somewhat of a difficult thing to implement because if the menacing shout still knocks your players around, it could just become a bad rune to use overall. So now we're going to talk about if they remove the meme function and make it to where you just have to aim at your allies and this goes off and gives them like a 10 to 15% more dodge chance, then it can actually be good. Because then one, you're getting the presents, which we talked about earlier, are going to be doing more damage and more crit and more healing. And then if you can also give them dodge percent from your menacing shout, this starts to become an actual viable rune that you could use in the raid. I'm kind of trying to aim this rune to become a rune that you want like one of in your raid party so it becomes actually good. We don't want it to become too good to where, like, you know, party rune and silencer are thrown out the window. But this is where I'm going to go into a more far-fetched idea. I think it should affect a third ability. This is more far-fetched because they would have to animate a new animation. So this, like, the odds of that happening are much lower than the other two I talked about so far. But let's say it also changes lure jab. So I'm not thinking it does the same thing as silencer to where your enemy becomes weaker. I'm thinking it is the opposite. What if you can lure jab your allies? And when you lure jab your allies, instead of lowering the enemy defense by 50%, it increases your allies' damage output by 50%. In this way, you have a new calamity shout, right, that drops gifts that gives you more damage buff and more critical buff to your allies, and then you could lure jab your allies with something called like Christmas cheer or something like that that gives them more damage output. And then you also have that menacing shout where you have to target your allies to give them that dodge percent increase. This would be an interesting change to the rune because every single ability involves either aiming at your teammates to benefit them or running around the map to pick up drop presents. This could be very interesting because no rune in the game currently works that way, to where you actually are like physically using attack moves on your teammates to heal them in a way. We haven't seen that yet. We haven't seen any runes where attacks are purposely targeted on your allies, so it could be very beneficial. We've never had a lure jab switch to actually affect teammates versus the enemies, so that could be very interesting. Really, there's a lot of things they could do to this rune to make it actually meta and beneficial. Those are just some of my ideas. Dodge chance of menacing shout instead of making it, well, menacing shout. Calamity presence do more, and then lure jab on your allies to give them 50% more damage output. Let me know your guys' ideas in the comments down below because I really want to see what you guys think the present rune should be changed to be. We can all agree it is terrible right now. I would never use this in a serious situation. Like, if you're doing EOT hardcore and someone puts this on in your lobby, wave them goodbye. There's no reason to have them come. It is just such a bad rune. Anyways, guys, that's going to be the gist of the video. Pretty short one here today. Let me know if you enjoyed. Leave a like if you enjoyed as well. Subscribe for more, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one. Bye.